Tape www.vidéo au Senegal.com. À école au Sénégal, c'est facile, tu n'as qu'à te connecter. Tape école au Sénégal, les leçons sont beaucoup plus détaillées.
Writing. As you go along with your English classes, you would realize that writing is one of the most vital aspects of English language. Why? Because it's an accumulation of all that you've listened to, you've read, you've practiced, and now you have to put it into practice by actually writing. And essay writing is one of those things that I really love to do, that I love to read, because it brings out the best in you. You have to actually think outside the box. You actually have to be able to be creative when you're writing. You actually have to be able to use a lot of synonyms, because you don't want to use the same words over and over. That is the purpose of writing. One of the first things that you have to know about writing is your vocabulary. How is your vocabulary? Is it rich enough to wow the people? Your presentation. Are you good at your presentation? That's the second one. The third one is how creative you are. How are you able to create, to bring something alive in a book, in a paper? That's important. And that's wonderful about writing. Okay? And so now today we'll be focusing on two aspects of writing, descriptive and the narrative type of writing. Let us start with narrative. Narrative simply means that you're talking. You're talking about, oftentimes a narration is something that you're talking about yourself. And so oftentimes it is about a biography or an autobiography. That's a narration. Okay, you're explaining something. And oftentimes it could be something that has happened to you. So we're looking at narrative writing here and how we should go about it. The first thing that you need to know, to have in mind, is to choose a topic. To choose a topic. What are you going to be talking about? Is it your early age? Is it your infant years? Is it your school year? Is it about your wedding? What is it that you want to write about, or you want to talk about, or you want to write about in this case? Okay, so you need to choose a topic. You need to have a heading. You need to start thinking about the introduction, the headlines, you know. You need to choose one. You need to pick one. What is it that you want to talk about? That's the first thing. The second one is to create an outline. An outline means that you have to create a plan. You need to have a plan of order. Okay, you need to have a plan. And the plan simply means that what are you going to be doing? What would you be doing? That is to have a plan. Okay, and then the third one is, and very important, is when you're writing for a narration, it needs to be in the first person. It means you, I, or personally. You use I, but please don't use I too quite often, okay? Because it tends to be kind of bothersome. First person is I, je. But you can say personnellement, personally from my point of view, from my end. So there are different ways that you can switch a little bit more of the I. So you don't use I all the time, okay? It could be very boring sometimes. And so you write narrations. Narrative writing is very important that you understand it's in the first person. It's in the first person, okay? Oftentimes, you have to write it, present it in the first person. And then after that, you have to keep in mind, that you're showing and not telling. In other words, when you're writing, the reader should be capable of seeing that you're showing the reader what has happened or what is happening to you, and not just telling a story. You're not telling something. Okay, you're actually showing the reader that this is what it is, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is where I come from. You're showing the reader, okay? You're not just saying blah, 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 or just talking as if you're talking to some kind of, you know, or no kind of bad person, but you need to be showing. That's what you should keep in mind, okay? To create an outline, what does it entail? To have a plan for narrative writing, what does it entail? It's very important. The first thing for any type of writing, any essay, whatever letter, whatever it is to have an introduction. An introduction is very, very vital for an essay on writing, because that is what entices, that is what attracts, that's what pulls the reader. Okay, how are you introducing? How do you create that grand entrance? The introduction, has to really be attractive. So the plan, you need to have an introduction. You have to think about the characters. The characters are the actors, in other words. The protagonist. Protagonist is the main character. Do you have any main character, which is you? But then the characters, the actors are the characters. Do you have the main actors or the protagonist or antagonist, whichever. Okay? And you start thinking about the plot. The plot means that it's a chronological order. That's the plot of it. What's going to happen from this stage to this stage? What is going to happen? That's the plot. And then the setting means the place. Or the places, if you have different places. Is it going to start off in the hospital, then go to the park, then go to the airport? That's the setting, what is happening. And then of course you have the tone of it. Tone means, how is it? Is it hyper? Is it suspense? Is it heartwarming? Is it very chilly? Chilly means that tu donnes la chair de poule. You know, is it very loving, aimable? Is it thrilling, un peu d'action? Well, you know, that's the climax of it. You set the tone. Does it have a high climax, a medium climax, a very low climax? That's the tone of it that you're setting for writing, especially the narrative, or any writing whatsoever, you know. And so that's your narration. You're narrating maybe the birth of your sister, or your wedding, or your, I don't know, something important to you. Please keep in mind this. And one of the things, two things that you need to know as a reminder is that it is written in the first person position. Première personne, the singulier, that's it. And then we're about to show that person what is happening, you're not just telling. So your grammar, your vocabulary, your choice of words really has to be good. And that is your narration, how you produce it. Okay, that's important for narrative. Of course, I'm going to give you examples of a narrative at the end of the lesson, so you can practice and you can be able to use them correctly. Start off even with like 100 words, okay? Introduction, body, conclusion, okay? And then you can expand as you want to about a narration or something that you want to explain. Oftentimes, like I said, your biographies, autobiographies, or personal family occurrences or events that have happened that you want to explain, okay, that would be good, okay. Thank you.
Tape www.Senegal.com